I said goodbye to Wegovy, and after 8 weeks without GLP medications, I've got some interesting results to share.
Good morning. Oh, goodness. Just good boy. Whoop.
Hi, hello, how are you? If you're new here, my name is Mindy, and I started GLP medications back in October of 2021, specifically Wegovy, over the course of about 3.5-ish years. Continued taking GLP medications in many forms: Mounjaro, semaglutide compound, both oral and injection. And over that time frame, I lost up to 135 pounds. I say up to because over the last year or so, I have really struggled with losing and gaining the same 35 pounds. About 8 weeks ago, I started seeing a bunch of research and information on how differently ADHD presents in women. And I had really been struggling with depression on and off my entire life. Decided. That's the word I'm looking for. Words are hard, guys. Finally decided to seek out some help for the depression, see if maybe it wasn't ADHD that was causing the depression, because if you don't know, people with ADHD burn through dopamine very, very quickly. So it's really common to see things like eating disorders, binge eating disorders specifically, and chronic depression, because without dopamine, that's what happens. You get sad. When I got diagnosed with ADHD, I made the decision with my psychologist and my psychiatrist to start Vyvanse. I also spoke with my primary care physician about discontinuing the use of Wegovy. There were a lot of reasons for that, not the least of which was because I was really nervous to start a stimulant, even though Vyvanse is a very slow release, much lower potency than something like Adderall. I just didn't want to be on that and Wegovy. In addition, because I've been on GLP medications for over 3.5 years, they just weren't working very well for me anymore. And it just seemed silly to continue taking them when they weren't really doing a lot. So me and my primary care physician decided that it was time to take a break from the Wegovy while we waited to see what the Vyvanse would do for me. I started Vyvanse to wrangle my spicy brain in the hopes that maybe it would also help with some other things. Mostly it helped with kind of getting my brain more focused and giving me more energy and motivation. And I finally felt ready to get back on track with my weight loss without the Wegovy. So today I want to talk about the last 8 weeks. What's worked, what hasn't worked, where I'm at with my weight loss. I want to thank Hume Health for sponsoring this video. Over the last several months, I've been talking about the Body Pod a lot. It is a body analyzer. It helps you understand what's going on in your body aside from just the number on the scale. And it's really helped to kind of shed the light on some of the numbers and understand what's actually happening inside of my body aside from just knowing how much I weigh. Now that I have all that data, it's helped me to basically biohack some of my journey into a much healthier space overall, aside from just the weight loss.
Well, hello, baby boy.
I am tired and hot and gross and sweaty, but it's lunchtime. I'm hungry. So while I get my lunch ready, I just figured I would talk to you guys a little bit about what's been working and what hasn't over the last 8 weeks. Hey, get up, bud. Y'all have to see this. Buddy, you're laying in front of the fridge and I can't get in it with you there. Can you get up, please? Come on, Bubba. Thank you. One of the most important parts of weight loss in general is food. The hard truth is that weight loss happens in the kitchen. I suppose you could exercise your way out of a bad diet, but it would be real hard. Over the last 8 weeks, with the assistance of my dietitian through Nourish, which if you don't have a dietitian, highly recommend, I have set my calorie deficit. One of my goals as I'm losing weight is to keep my metabolism in the best shape possible so that when I'm at the end of this, I'm not having to eat a child's amount of calories in order to maintain my weight loss. I did a video a couple weeks ago about the 1200 calorie myth. If you missed that, check it out. My goal is to be able to eat as much as I can while still losing weight. So we set me a calorie deficit of 1900 calories. And that's where I'm still at because I'm still losing weight. And as long as I'm losing weight, I will continue to stay at 1900 calories. Now, the only other macro that I really pay any attention to is protein, and I try to get about 25 to 30% of my calories every day from protein. For me, that means about 120 to 145 grams of protein a day. The most important thing to me about my diet is that it remains sustainable. So I don't restrict any food groups. I don't eat low carb. I just don't. Oh, this lettuce is dirty. Protein is important for a lot of reasons. It keeps you full. It helps you maintain muscle mass. If you have questions about protein and why it's important, I have a video about that too. I'll link it down below. I know that the only diet that's gonna work for me in the long run is one that I can stick with. And I'm not gonna live the rest of my life without pasta and ice cream. It's just not gonna happen. Definitely not without potatoes. I love me some potatoes. I eat whatever I like in moderation. I track my calories. I used to use MyFitnessPal, but ever since they started changing to charge for literally everything, I switched to Macros First, which also makes it a lot easier for me to track my protein. I have discovered a whole bunch of new favorites over the last 8 weeks. I made some Greek meatballs and orzo salad that were amazing. Street corn chicken tacos, that was a macro-friendly food recipe that will stay in the rotation because they were so easy to make and delicious. I even made some improvements to my protein fluff over the last 8 weeks. I made a healthy hidden vegetable version of lasagna. And of course, I discovered my new snack hyperfixation drizzleicious. If you aren't subscribed to my channel, now would be a great time to do that because I constantly share new recipes and snack ideas. If you're struggling for looking for meal plan and recipe ideas, stick around. I share a lot of stuff. The other thing I've continued to stick with is getting in my 7,500 steps. Since I started that on July 14th, I've only missed 2 days. But even with missing those 2 days, every week, I've averaged more than 7,500 steps, usually closer to 8,000. I also haven't missed a single train well workout since starting back again on the 9th of July. And that's a pretty big deal for me because, man, I don't like the gym. I like weight training more than I dislike anything else. The cool thing about weightlifting is there's noticeable progress. Every time I increase a weight, like I can see and track that progress, and that feels good to me. So like I like the feeling of getting stronger, being stronger, and adding muscle mass will only serve to help me in the long run. Muscle burns more calories at rest than fat does. So the more muscle I build, the faster my metabolism and the more I get to eat. P.S. If you're not salting your greens when you make a salad, you're missing out. Your greens need seasoning too. Those are all the things that have been going really well. Now that's not to say that the last 8 weeks have been all sunshine and roses. Oh no, my egg just exploded. This is my 3rd salad this week, and this is the first time I've had an egg not peel perfectly. Rude. Rude, I say. Last weekend, I made a less than optimal choice. It had been a super stressful weekend. My husband and I ended up unexpectedly having to buy a new car. I haven't had a new car since 2010, and I haven't had a car payment since 2016. So needless to say, it kind of stressed me out, especially given how volatile Richard's job has been lately. thinking about having a new car payment. Now, I worked in the car industry for about 6 years, so I know how to play the game. Now, we tried to find pre-owned, but all of the pre-owned vehicles that were available were almost the same price as buying a new one. So the majority of our day Saturday was spent dealing with that. Sunday morning started well. I was doing fine. We went to our regular breakfast place. I got my regular breakfast food. And then when it came time for dinner, and when I admitted to Richard that I was exhausted, he suggested that we go out to eat. So instead of me just picking something quick and easy that I could limit the calorie count of, it just became this like epic hunt for the ultimate food. And we went out to all you can eat sushi. Yum. And while I didn't eat anywhere near as much as I would have before, I still definitely ate too much. When I got up the next morning and I stepped on the scale, my weight had jumped drastically. Like, we're talking 4.5 pounds drastically. While I knew that that was definitely not body fat, I still had an emotional reaction. Like, I thought, oh great, I just undid 4 weeks of progress with one meal. Like, I'm never gonna be able to eat. Like, hysterical Mindy took over, right? It's just the thing that we do, right? After I had a chance to calm myself down and think about it, I was like, you know what? It's gonna be water weight. There's a lot of salt, a lot of carbs because sushi rice. And I knew that I hadn't consumed enough calories to gain that much in fat. If you don't know, 1 pound of body fat has 3,500 calories in it. I would have had to have eaten 3,500 calories on top of the 2,500 or so calories it takes for my body just to exist on a daily basis, which is not a thing. The awesome thing about having a tool like the BodyPod at my disposal is that I didn't just have to rely on speculation. I was able to look at the data and see that my body fat had not changed, but my body water had shot up. So I knew it wasn't fat gain, it was just water weight, and that will come off over time. Rather than just sitting and stewing on that, I had a conversation with my dietitian about it, the reaction that I had and how I responded to it, the fact that I didn't allow it to continue to creep over. Because in the past, when I've had, binging incidences like that before, I've allowed it to like continue on throughout the week. But Monday morning, I got right back on track. I was on my meal plan. I just continued on doing the things that I knew that I needed to do. My dietitian didn't even bat an eye. She was like, it sounds like you handled it perfectly. We're never gonna do this perfectly. You're gonna have times where you overeat, where you make the choice that maybe isn't the best. But as she and I were talking, I had this moment where I realized that without falling, we never know if we have the strength to get back up again. And I was so proud of myself for having the strength to get back up again, for jumping back on the bandwagon, so to speak, and just continuing on as if that meal had never happened. Now, obviously, the meal has happened, and we will talk about it with my results later, but it was still a win. Even though I had that moment where I didn't make the absolute best choice. And I'm not saying, you guys, that you can't have a meal where you enjoy something like that, but it should be something you're planning for. The reason that it bothered me so much was because it was just something that I did just because. And that just hasn't been something that I've done in a while. So let's get on to the reason that you're all actually here. The results. So this 8 weeks has definitely been slower than the first 8 weeks on Wegovy, like without a doubt. But given that I was already 3.5 years into a weight loss journey, that's not surprising to me. When I started this whole thing, I was at 275.4 pounds. My lowest weight during the 8 weeks, which was before my little sushi slip up, was 261.7 pounds. That's basically 14 pounds lost-ish. Over 8 weeks, it's a little over a pound a week. A half a pound to 2 pounds a week is what's considered sustainable weight loss. Anything faster than that, and you're probably eating in a much bigger deficit than you should, and it's going to injure your metabolism and make things harder for you in the long run. One of the things that I really like about the BodyPod specifically in the app, it gives me the option of not only looking at my daily weight loss, which those numbers are going to go up and down and all around and all over the place, right? But I can also look at them from a weekly basis or a monthly basis. And when you look at my weekly weight loss results from the time that I started, it was a downward trend all the way up until the sushi slip up. That's what we're gonna call it. It's the sushi slip up. Then of course, obviously that week, which was last week, that average did go up a little bit, and I'm already trending this week to hopefully be back down where my average was the week before. In addition to the 14 pounds I lost, I also took some pictures and I did some measurements. I am super excited to say that in addition to losing the 14 pounds, I lost 2 inches each off of my chest, my waist, and my hips. Super glad to see that happening because yeah, losing weight is nice, but if all I cared about was the number on the scale, I'd just chop off my hair and call it progress. As long as I'm seeing my size shrink, that's the thing that I'm really excited about. The awesome thing about having the BodyPod is that I'm able to get a much closer look at what that 14 pounds consists of. My body fat mass went from 128.9 to 127.9. So my actual body fat went down. The fact that it went down at all makes me very happy. Subcutaneous fat mass went down a pound. My skeletal muscle mass increased. It didn't increase a ton, but it did increase some, which is a win because in the beginning, in the first 4 weeks, it was actually still going down. So as I've been doing the strength training, the fact that I've been seeing that increase is awesome. One of the really exciting things I saw was that my resting heart rate went from 74 to 64. 74 is considered average for my age, and 64 beats per minute is considered excellent. That means that I've seen a huge improvement in my cardiovascular health. Heart issues do run in my family. My grandfather died from a heart attack. My mother has had several heart attacks, several strokes. So my cardiovascular health is extremely important to me, and seeing that improve is very, very exciting. The information that I'm getting from the BodyPod has been so awesome over the last couple of months because not only have I been able to use that to confirm my suspicions about water gain versus fat gain and muscle gain versus fat loss and all of those things, I was able to use some of that data to basically like biohack my fitness journey. One of the things about like a DEXA scan or a body scan or body analyzer is that they're only as accurate as your hydration levels. So if you're extremely dehydrated, then the electrical current that goes through your body can't conduct as well. So I was confused about how dehydrated my body was, even though I'm drinking like close to a gallon of water every day. And so we took a look at my intracellular and extracellular water and discovered that there was kind of an imbalance there. And through her advice, I was able to incorporate Cure electrolytes. It's a high potassium electrolyte. I'll link it down below if you guys are interested in it, but it really helped with my hydration, and my muscle readings started making a lot more sense because they were previously kind of up and down and all over the place. And we speculated that it was because of my hydration levels. And once we addressed that with the electrolytes and the potassium, we really saw a lot more steady and consistent readings when I was using the BodyPod. In addition to helping with my hydration levels, it also helped with constipation, and it is still something that I am struggling with 2 months after quitting Wegovy. I've had several people comment that I am obsessed with the scale. And I guess I could see how that's one perspective. I don't see it that way. I would say that I definitely can be obsessive with data But when I think of someone that's obsessed with the scale, I think of someone that's willing to do anything and everything to see that number move, regardless of if it's something that's healthy for them in the long run or not. Somebody that's obsessed with seeing the number on the scale move and obsessed with the scale, I would say is willing to go into a dangerously low deficit. I would say is willing to forego good nutrition or waiting out slow weight loss. And I don't feel like any of those things are me. I do very much enjoy looking at data. I like analyzing data. I like seeing data move and change, and having the body pod and knowing that it's 98% as accurate as a DEXA scan. Having that data to look at has given me something else to focus on other than the number on the scale, because I have the fat mass and the muscle mass and the water and hydration levels and all of that to look at. It's something else for me to focus on so that I'm not getting obsessed over the number on the scale. And when the number on the scale is moving slowly, it allows me to look at the other things in my body that are moving and changing, and knowing that I'm not just sitting stagnant at a certain weight, that there are other things that are going on in the background. Instead of just speculating about what I think is going on, I actually have proof of what's happening in my body with those numbers. Before I had this kind of data to look at, if I had a bad weekend like the sushi slip up, I would spiral and get frustrated and often end up one meal turn into a week of mishaps. But now I have a bad weekend, and instead of spiraling, it's like I look at the data and I realize, well, it was just a hydration experiment. The question at this point is, what's next? Like, where do we go from here? We're 8 weeks into this sucker. What are my plans for the future? Where am I going? What am I doing? And the answer to that question is not sexy. It's just consistency. Staying the course and doing what I know works, continuing with the deficit that I'm in, the calories that I'm at, the protein that I'm consuming, the activity that I'm doing, sticking with it week in and week out. That's what's ultimately going to see me through to my goals. In regard to my content, do you guys like having these infrequent, longer, more detailed looks at my updates? Or do you guys just like the short weekly check-ins to let you guys know where my weight is sitting at? I haven't really been checking in much with my weight with you guys. I've just been doing it like once a month. So is that what you like, or do you prefer to hear more often from me how things are going? The biggest thing that I hope you guys take from my journey is that progress is not linear. It doesn't just look like a steady downward trend. More often than not, the story you hear is I lost a bunch of weight, then I lost hope, I quit, and then I started, and then I started, and then I quit. And I'm sure that there may be some person out there that just did it, and they are just a pillar of self-restraint, and I wish I was like them, but I'm not, and the majority of us are not. So if you're struggling with your journey not being linear and being up and down and all over the place, just know you're not alone. That's what it looks like for most of us. If you are that person that's really struggling with looking at the day-to-day, I really recommend having a tool like the Body Pod so that you can look at your weekly and monthly progress instead of your daily progress, because getting bogged down in those daily numbers, sometimes even in your weekly numbers, can really discourage you if you're like most of us and your progress is really slow. There have been times over the last 8 weeks where I've been really frustrated with how slowly things are moving. And then I'll back up and look at my weekly view and see that number steadily going down. And it just, even though that may only be a half a pound, seeing that dot go down every week and that little line graph go down every week, it just feels so much better knowing that there is progress being made no matter how small. Again, I want to thank Hume so much for sponsoring this video. If you guys are tired of looking at just that one number on the scale and you want to know better what is happening behind the scenes in your body, I encourage you to take a look at the Body Pod. It is a fantastic body analyzer. You guys know I've been singing its praises over the last several months, and it has made such a huge difference in my mental health and how I look at my weight loss journey. One of the awesome things about the BodyPod is that it is HSA and FSA eligible, so you can use those funds to pay for your BodyPod. I will include my link and my discount code down in the description. As always, my discount code stacks on top of whatever sale it is that they have going on right now, and it is valid for 7 days from the posting of this video. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today and hanging out with me. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it or found it helpful. I would love to hear from you down in the comments if you have your own slip up and bounce back stories. Heck, if you slipped up and you're having a hard time bouncing back, let me know down in the comments. I would love to be an encouragement to you. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you to my Buy Me a Coffee members for continuing to support me month in and month out. Your support means the world to me. And hey, if you ever want to test your water retention limits, I got a sushi place I can recommend for you. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.